Welcome to this episode of the Conspiracy Cast right here on Tales of Earth, a show where we sit down, we three almost experts, and we discuss a conspiracy of some kind, and then we determine whether we believe it or not, and why or why not. We do this live on twitch.tv/comicstorian every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can support us by subscribing to this channel. You can also support us by purchasing some Tales of Earth merch in the link below, like that shirt right there. This Henley actually is also available. It has nothing to do with Tales of Earth, but it's nice. It's nice, and you can buy it.
The Tales of Earth shirts on a Henley.
I'm sure. Yeah. But you'd have to
It would be a weird spot to have the logo. Yeah. Unless it was like on the back.
Nah, that would look weird. I don't like it.
Or you can go to patreon.com/comicstorian where you can get early access to this show as well as other shows. Today we have with us, I'm going to start over here this time. Why am I running out of breath?
Yeah. You okay there?
Yes, I'm okay. It's just like slightly sweetened coffee. I don't know. I don't normally sweeten my coffee, so it's weird. My mouth is sticky.
They must have sweetened it with
I'm
blue.
good. I'm Glorp Andy. You can find me at Fry on the Andy on Instagram. And I am an expert.
He is. It's actually true. It's why he's a member of the Illuminati. The member of the Illuminati. It's actually only one guy, turns out.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
I told you not to talk about it.
Okay. Dan, where can they find you?
They can find Glorp Dan at Dan T Producer on Twitter and Instagram, and Dan T Streamer on Twitch.
Yes, and you can find me on YouTube at Film Circuit, on Twitter at Film Circuit, and on Instagram at Northward Films.
Also,
all right.
I just want to say,
yes,
because we are slowly becoming more experts, I feel like in like a year of this podcast, we're going to be starting off, all right, we're the leading experts when it comes to conspiracies.
We've started 10.
Yes. Yeah. Our hair started out a little crazy. And then by a year from now, it'll be like way out here, and we'll all just smell.
Been growing it for a year just to really get that conspiracy style.
Yep. And then you'll be asking me like, Gary, what do you need with all this red twine and like 40,000 cork boards? Like, you'll see.
We should actually put a cork board behind us.
We should,
eventually just start connecting all of this.
Connecting everything.
I like it. We put up all the individual conspiracies and then connect the conspiracies to each other.
It's like, wait. The Earth is flat. And it's hollow. Okay.
Oh, God.
It's a half.
It's like
it's a half sphere.
It's
amazing.
It's more like it's flat, then it's hollow before you get to the turtle.
Yeah,
and the lizard people live on.
It's like a slice of cylinder.
Yeah,
it's like a thin cylinder.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like a cheese wheel.
That makes total sense.
Like a cheese.
Okay,
wheel.
now it all makes sense to me.
It's the cheese wheel Earth theory.
Cheese wheel Earth theory.
I like this.
It is made of cheese.
Except now that actually just reminds me of Wallace and Gromit, where they want to go to the moon because the moon's made of cheese.
That's like that is it's not as big in the U.S. as it was. Yeah. But they're like, my wife has watched it, so she knows.
Yeah.
She gets.
It's big enough that people in America have heard of it.
I've heard of it,
and some have seen it, but not big enough that everyone has.
So, what would you say is the greatest lie of our time, of our modern age? And don't look at the notes.
I'm not.
Okay.
The greatest lie of our time is when my father said, "I'm just going out for cigarettes." Back.
Oh, mine was when my dad said
he went out for beer.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Mine was being told that they were proud of me.
Oh.
So what's the actual biggest lie?
The greatest lie of our time is, I have read and agree to these terms and conditions.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Nobody.
I don't know if that's the greatest lie. That's definitely probably the most used.
It's probably the most used lie.
To be fair, I do always read the part that says, I have read and agreed to the terms of these
This is true. Yeah.
So it's like half right, half wrong.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Truth is, you don't know what you're agreeing to.
Oh, no. The best
you don't. I just want my free thing now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Have you seen? I'm not sure if it's actually in here, but I'll mention it anyway.
Okay.
That some companies have actually put things in there that are like, if you read this line, send a letter to this address, and we will send you X amount. Like, essentially, like a
see if anyone's actually reading them.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I'm going to read all of them now.
All right. Exactly.
And never get anything done.
Actually, just open it up. Control F. Reward.
There you go.
Search.
Control F. We will send. Yeah.
You're
like, you have 300 results. You're like,
that's not good.
That's not good. Yeah. Well. All right. So
free stuff. So
privacy is a universal desire for humans.
Yes.
On some level. Now you have basically two different types of people. You have people who want so much privacy that they essentially seclude themselves from the world.
Yeah.
I mean, they become hermits. They don't want any contact with the world.
Right.
And then you have the other kind of more like average person who wants basic privacy. Like, I want my conversations to be private.
Right.
I want to know that if I'm in my bedroom alone, I'm really alone. Nobody's watching
Yeah.
me. And so people like privacy is a universal desire, to whatever degree that you like subscribe to. It's weird. So I want that like seclusive lifestyle, but I don't at the same time because I really like conveniences.
Sure.
It's kind of like what we talked about last week.
Yeah.
You know, like if I were to be sent off into the middle of Alaska with like supplies, you know, I'm not going to die. But with like a cabin,
Hopefully.
somewhere to live, like
right, and
good
it's
stock
just
of food
you
and
by
coffee,
yourself,
I'd be fine.
alone with your thoughts.
I'd be fine. Yeah.
Now that's the part that concerns me.
alone with your
Alone
own
with
thoughts.
my own
My
thoughts.
thoughts are messed up.
God.
I'd get a lot of writing.
Why do
done.
you think I'm on my phone playing games all the time?
Yeah.
Stop to think.
Stop. What's happening? I'm thinking. It needs to stop now. What is that game that you went to the party for? 7 something?
Oh, Epic 7?
Epic 7. Yeah. More Epic 7.
Exactly.
Drown it out. He's just
Exactly.
like screaming at himself in the corner. So there have been debates about whether or not one's car even should be considered a private space, and or if surveillance systems are prying even too much there.
Intriguing.
So like
How
let's say
so?
like
what
a
way?
like
Yeah.
a traffic camera gets
Okay.
a really high resolution image of
Right.
you and your car and like what you're doing in there.
Okay.
Right.
Some people have actually objected to that and said, well, that's my private space. Now the other argument is, well, you're out in public.
True.
You're
Yeah.
you're basically agreeing to an unspoken social contract
Yeah.
that says you're out in
I mean,
public.
exactly. You're basically in a window,
Yeah.
a bubble.
Right.
Yeah, people can still
Exactly.
generally see
Yeah.
you unless your cars are super
Right.
tinted or your windows.
not
are
your-
super
Exactly.
tinted.
Like
Yeah.
if you have clear windows, you are essentially
Yeah.
if you're giving people around you permission to essentially look through your window and
right,
see you,
yeah.
Yeah.
you can't argue, well, a camera that's completely
Right,
different
yeah.
because that's someone looking through it through a
It's
camera.
like walking down the street and being like, "Whoa, that camera captured my image and I don't like it."
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Right.
you're out in public.
Yeah.
And see, well, actually, that brings up the concern because it's like when you when people film documentaries,
Sure, yeah.
you do have the permission.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Like that's another different standard. But then again, that's also goes to the public, whereas it's not like the security cams are like, hey, go to securitycamera.com and you can watch what's happening on 7th and 15th right now.
Although that'd
Which
be
you can.
cool. Yeah.
I'm sure
You actually can access security cameras from, not security cameras, but like street cameras
Yeah.
from all over.
like just
Yeah.
easily.
Yes. Yeah.
I was actually not
they
aware
are, they
of
are
that.
public domain.
Now that makes me a little concerned.
Yeah.
Because
Actually,
I mean, you're on
it-
the
it-
street
that-
already, though.
Yeah, you're
Well,
on
but
the
that
street already.
creates a
Yeah.
concern of stalking. Like, because think about it this
But once
way.
again,
They're
you're
not-
in public already.
But exactly, like,
Right.
but think about it this way: if someone's stalking you in public already,
Sure.
you can still file something against them,
Right. Yeah, oh,
'Cause
yeah,
you are aware.
absolutely.
So if they're stalking
Absolutely.
you through cameras, that's essentially the
Yeah.
same. Like there are limits to going out in public and being like, yes, like I understand that people can see me right now, and I mean, I guess that comes into this of the privacy line of when does it become well, I'm in public, people can see me, to, okay, this guy's following me literally everywhere I go so they can see me everywhere I go. And at least that you can see them, whereas it would be really creepy if someone's doing that through a security camera.
I have actually been stalking the security
thought
camera.
something was
Now, if you've
weird.
actually watched a live feed of some of these street cameras, they're very low resolution.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're almost unbearable to watch.
Right.
Because I can guarantee you they're not feeding you the full
Sure, yeah.
full resolution image. So the question here is, are we being recorded? This is the real question of the episode. Are we being recorded at all times by our
Okay.
various devices,
Recorded,
cameras,
not just seen.
not recorded, not just
Okay.
seen. Now, it is actually illegal to record audio of someone having a conversation without their permission. Currently, that is flat out illegal. It doesn't matter who it is, what your reason is.
Yep.
If you've done it, that is illegal. Now, if they've entered a space where they've signed a waiver or something that says anything that's said here is public record or whatever, or you will be recorded. Now they don't have any they don't have the right to sue. They don't have the right to take legal action. But if just like in general, you decide to walk around recording people's conversations, you could go to prison for that.
Yeah.
Because
good to know.
Yes. Good.
All right. Let me just stop my phone real quick.
Yeah. Speaking of phones, so we'll get there. So this debate about like privacy and ultimately freedom has been kind of at the forefront of modern culture for about 20 years.
Right.
It really came to the forefront with the Patriot Act in 2001. When the U.S. government, for those of you who may not know, back in 2001, October 2001, the U.S. government, right after 9/11, put in this act, the Patriot Act, that basically stated that the U.S. government has the right to tap phones, look at emails, access personal information of anybody they deem a possible threat to the U.S.
The Big Brother bill.
The Big Brother bill, essentially. Yeah. And we'll get to that, George Orwell.
Oh, really?
The Orwellian concepts later. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that was a big deal. And of course it's a big deal. And actually I knew a family who was monitored during that period because they were Muslim. And just the fact that they were Muslim meant that they were being monitored.
Right.
Now, a lot of that is like, it makes sense in the context, that we were attacked by terrorists who profess a certain belief. And, a lot of there was a lot of money trading going on from within the U.S. And so you're like, everybody's in paranoia. So
I was going to say it was a very paranoid time.
It was a very paranoid time. And
for a good reason.
Yes.
It wasn't like out of nowhere. They were like, hey, by the way.
It wasn't someone just went crazy. He's like,
I think something's happening from these people.
Yes, exactly. So, and they actually said that when that was happening, it didn't actually bother them that much because they got it. They understood.
Right.
Like this big thing.
They didn't take it personally.
They didn't take it personally. Yeah.
It was they understood because, let's be honest, if the tables were turned, they would want the watching turned to whoever caused something.
It's like their house wasn't raided. Like they weren't attacked. They were just being
They weren't dragged out of their home.
They weren't dragged out of their home. They were just being listened to. And they were like, if that was the extent of it, we get it. Like it's not nice. Like nobody wants to be monitored, but they didn't freak out about it. So the Patriot Act in 2001, and now I did not have a chance to look up. That is still
Patriot Act still in effect.
Still very much in effect.
It is still in effect. Okay, that's what I thought. It was the one thing I forgot to look up. Whether or not it was still in effect.
I think that's some people's big concern is the fact of how long it's in effect based on the existence of the threat.
I think it's
like the
it's basically like as long as they deem there is a threat.
Exactly.
Right. And then just be like, there's still a threat.
So forever. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It was one of those shift who we feel threatened by. It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Because the United States has actually had more years of war than it has had of peace.
Oh yeah.
Hands down. I think we've had like 30 something years of peace, like just in the entire history of this country. There's a threat of surveillance from the government, which is not really a threat. It's just a reality.
Sure.
I don't know if I've ever been listened to. I don't know. I'm sure they have very sophisticated means of listening to people without them knowing. So from the government, that's like the biggest. That's the big fish for people. It's like, well, it's the government. It's always the government.
Right.
We never really point the blame at ourselves, which is kind of what we talked about last week.
Okay.
The fact that, I think I mentioned that somebody posed the question 25 years ago, if you had asked somebody, can we put this tracker on you that basically keeps track of all of your personal information, everything you do, everywhere you eat, your heart rate even, would you want that? And most people 25 to 30 years ago, or the history of mankind, would say absolutely not. No, I don't want that information being sold or given to companies, corporations,
right? Yeah.
Just individuals. Who knows what they're doing with it?
Yeah.
But we have ourselves to blame because we chose that. We said, I've read and agreed to these terms and conditions without really reading it.
Sure.
And so
you're
giving,
whatever. Let me get into my stuff quickly.
Yeah. I just want to post an Instagram photo.
And then sometimes and we've all been there of the ones where you're like, I got to scroll to the bottom so I can accept it.
And it's not already pre-clicked.
Yeah.
The little checkbox. Come on.
I am not a robot, right? I'm not a robot.
And there's that brief moment. Am I a robot?
You click it. It pauses on the loading. my whole life is a lie.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh, God.
No, it's
Okay, I'm a
we're
human.
fine.
I hate the click the pictures that have a bus, and you got like the corner of the bumpers
Yes,
and one
and
of
you're
the
like,
frames.
does
and you're
that
like,
count?
does that count? And you sit there like, I don't know. I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to.
But see,
get
these are the
locked
kind of
out.
questions that a robot wouldn't think of.
That's true.
is true.
That's true. So if you get it wrong, you're right.
Exactly.
Oh,
God.
okay. Dan alone with his thoughts. He's like, is it the bus? Or is it just the corner of the
Am I
bus?
human or am I a robot?
Am I a
mean,
robot?
I don't know anymore.
Do I
Very
agree to
existential
these?
question.
All right. Yeah, so our biggest fears are very much the stuff of fiction or what seems like fiction. Or is it? So we all accept our current context as normal. Given we've had smartphones for how many? 13 years? No, 12 years now. Generally.
I think more than that.
2007 is when the iPhone came out.
Is it really?
So yeah, 2007.
Okay.
So over a decade now,
Yeah.
we've slowly become accustomed to, even people who said, I'll never get a smartphone, who I know have gotten a smartphone.
Yeah.
And they've completely accepted it. So we have now accepted the new normal as just normal. Like we can't really imagine a life without a device that tracks everything we do.
And then you have your grandparents who are like, hold on, let me get my Nokia brick.
Actually, they're all using iPads now.
Hello.
Yeah, that's actually true. Just because
Yeah.
you can see the buttons better. Yellow.
Could you imagine seeing someone walking down the street holding their iPad like a phone? Can you hear me? Ah, yes, of course.
Yeah. So we have self-imposed surveillance. I think Shiva's actually a robot. So we have self-imposed surveillance, which we've just accepted. And then there's also the threat of surveillance and control from
the
outside.
aliens.
One of our more contemporary examples of this would be North Korea.
Oh, yes.
So
very much.
100%.
North Korea, yes. To the point where people just live in fear of even just saying the wrong thing.
Right. Yeah.
I watched a documentary a long time ago, actually, about North Korea, and they had allowed these eye surgeons to come into the country to perform eye surgery on people with what's the word I'm looking for? I just lost it. Glaucoma. Yes.
Oh, wow.
And so they perform eye surgery on these people, and suddenly these people can see again. And their first response, their first reaction is thanking the supreme leader of North Korea. Yeah. Instead of, and it was almost like the people watching on couldn't tell if they were afraid or if it was genuine thankfulness, or if they were just so afraid of what would happen if they didn't. That they ignored the doctors, they ignored the people who actually did it, and they they got on their hands and knees, and it's a very fearful what.
Sorry, when you say that, it reminds me of like when in shows the doctors are like, they perform something, they save someone's life, and the patient's like, thank God, and they're like, yeah, thank him, not my medical bills or all the school I went to make sure that I could keep you alive.
Yeah.
But this one's it's different in the sense of it's more of a forced
yes
admiration as opposed
absolutely.
to like faith or
I've chosen this belief system.
Exactly.
I've chosen this
like
faith.
you don't have the choice.
You don't have a
in
choice
North
when you
Korea.
live there. Exactly.
You
have a choice.
Praise the supreme leader or die.
Pretty much.
Or imprison or stuff
absolutely.
like that, essentially.
But if you've lived in that your entire life,
you wouldn't know any different.
You don't know any different. You're like, this is just life. Like, this is what we do. This isn't what you do.
Yeah.
And so we've definitely accepted. There is actually a term. I heard it once, and I cannot for the life of me find it or remember it. There's an actual term for this condition of accepting your current circumstances as normal.
And it's not Stockholm syndrome.
It's not Stockholm syndrome.
That's when
that's
you
becoming basically like not infatuated, but
with your
basically
captor.
with your captor.
Yeah. So if anybody can find this term, I hope somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. But it's not a mental condition, but it's just a word that describes
accepting your current situation as normal, and not questioning it.
Yeah, whether that's climate change or poverty or whatever it is. This is just the way things are.
Yeah.
So I guess it's okay. Yeah. We definitely live, I would argue, in an age today where constant surveillance, basically a loss of privacy, it's just normal now. We've just accepted it. Like even you said that you don't want a Google Home Mini or whatever it is, the Google Home.
But I have one.
But you have one.
Yeah.
Not by choice.
Because it's convenient.
My choice.
Actually, that right there is another good one too.
Anyway.
Sometimes you do get into the situation of you're you're almost forced into the situation because of work or family
Because
or
my
things
wife
like
wanted
that.
to aid in the machines rising against us someday, but whatever, it's fine.
Oh yeah, I'll admit when we opened our Google Home Mini, I was a little nervous too. I was like, so there's going to be this device that sits here and listens
can literally
to me,
listen to everything I do.
recognizes my voice
Yes.
as
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
and I can just ask it to do whatever I want. So then I proceeded to quote movies to it, and it quoted them back. So
Right.
that was great.
And not only
made friends with
Right.
I made friends with the Google Chrome. Yeah,
and it's like
with the Google
not
Home.
only do you talk to it, you also give it permission to activate or control your lights, control your
Yes.
sound, like
Control your
you
house.
give it control of your house.
Of your house, yeah, because it's convenient.
Because it's convenient.
Because who
and you
wants
can
to stand
say,
up and turn on a light switch?
Half the time, I don't think it's convenient because we'll be sitting there, like my wife will yell at it and it's not responding. She'll be
Yeah.
like, "Turn on the TV," and it's not responding. Turn on the TV, it's not responding, and I just pick up
I've
the
had
remote.
I had yeah. You literally saved like a whole minute
Yeah,
just
yeah.
picking up the remote. Yeah,
You know, thinking about it, the most primitive version of the Google Home was the clapper.
That's true.
Clap
That's
on,
true.
clap
Yeah,
off
true.
the clapper.
yeah, absolutely. It's always listening. The clapper. That's where it started.
Yeah.
That's where it
when
started.
When the machines rise up, just
Yeah.
remember it was the clapper all along.
Yeah.
Someday when we're looking back on the history of our machine overlords, do you know Skynet started with the clapper?
Yeah. The machines will erect a golden
Save that
statue
gold.
of the clapper.
I don't even know what the actual clapper looked like, to be
Yeah.
honest.
The ancient being,
I don't know.
the clapper.
It was just, I think it was like a wall plug thing.
Was it? I don't even
Yeah.
remember.
It was just something that could register.
You basically
two
plugged
loud
your, you
noises.
plugged your
Sound.
light into the clapper, and that plugged into the wall.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
You know, I
think
actually
that's how
never
it
had a
works.
clapper.
I didn't
No,
either.
I didn't
That's
either.
because they always advertised it to
Old people.
seniors. Yeah.
Old people.
Old
people that couldn't
yeah.
genuinely get
Yeah.
to
Genuinely
the
could
light
not get up. Yeah, and that's a whole other debate when it comes to things
Yeah.
like Neuralink and
Oh, I can't wait.
robot servants and everything like that. It's like, oh, well, we really have designed this for people who can't serve themselves. And then you get people who with enough money who can afford it, who can serve themselves, but they choose not to.
Yeah.
And so you end up with this very lazy society. And
And then you get Wally.
And you get Wally. Absolutely. So what we're talking about is also what some people call an Orwellian society.
Yes.
What this really means is that the Orwellian society is Orwellian is an adjective describing a situation, idea, or a societal condition that George Orwell identified as being destructive to the welfare of a free and open society. What they're referring to is the book 1984, A World and Society Where the Government or Big Brother has complete control over the lives and minds of the people. This was written in the 1940s, and regimes like this were already in power, or at least gaining more power. This possible future was actually already a reality for a lot of people. And I would argue that it is kind of now. So our devices, especially our home assistants, are listening, but they have to. And that's where like the debate lies. So I was just reading to you earlier because I wanted you to kind of think about it. Somebody broke down. So this is the big
to initiate my paranoia before the show.
So have you ever noticed, and this is another question, have you ever noticed when you're having a conversation about a thing or a place,
Yes.
and then hours later, maybe the next day, you start getting all these ads for
Yes.
that, even though you physically never
Yes.
searched for it, like thongs,
Like
or
what?
Speedos.
I'm sorry.
Is that a normal conversation?
I have
kidding.
I feel like he's actually right now trying to manipulate
yeah.
our phones
to see
so
if
that
it
later we
happens.
go,
Yeah.
damn it, Gary.
Come on, man.
Damn it.
Why did you have to talk about incontinence diapers earlier?
So-
God damn it.
This
No.
Am I logging Amazon?
If you get a Depends ad, I'm going to laugh.
Oh,
Please
man.
screenshot and send it. Okay.
So several years ago, people really started picking up on this, especially with the Google Home Assistants.
Yes.
Siri, Amazon Echo, or Alexa, whatever you want to call it. And even Windows has Cortana. They're just, these assistants are everywhere, and they are it's not good.
It's not good at all.
And they're everywhere, and they're always listening. But you've agreed to a device to listen to you at all times and to record your conversations and everything you say, because it has to be listening at all times if you want that convenience.
See, that's
And
actually
this
the worst
is-
thing I hate about Cortana is even if you don't use it, you have to agree to it. I have it turned off, but
That's
it
true. I
like
guess it
legitimately
says-
makes you
yes,
agree.
yes.
It's essentially one of those ones where it's like a subsection where they're like, oh, you want to use your computer in Windows 10? you have no choice. You're going to
Cortana's going to be on there
to listen.
Because it will ask you, do you want to use Cortana? And you can say yes or no, but Cortana's still there.
Yeah.
Now, the only way
it will always open itself,
is
too.
just rip out the microphone on your computer.
I disabled mine with a hammer.
His off button. Yeah. So that
Tesla.
Tesla's off button.
People really started catching on to this a couple of years ago, and it was in the news, and it was on like conspiracy forums, and yeah. Oh, I thought you said nope. You're like, nope.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Nope, you're wrong. You're wrong. None of this happens. They're not listening to us.
So this
the president's amazing.
This is one person's story. This comes from Vice.com. So take that, as you want to take it. A couple of years ago, something strange happened. A friend and I were sitting at a bar, iPhones in pockets, discussing our recent trips in Japan and how we'd like to go back. The very next day, we both received pop-up ads on Facebook about cheap return flights to Tokyo. It seemed like just a spooky coincidence, but then everyone seems to have a story about their smartphone listening to them. So is this just paranoia, or are our smartphones actually listening? Now, this does remind me of the Facebook lawsuit. I think, what was it, last year?
Not the Cambridge Analytica or something.
Something where wasn't that the one where they sold all of...
They were like, hey,
they were
Russia,
selling personal
here's
information.
people's information.
Exactly, yeah. So that's another threat to your security.
Right.
According to Dr. Peter Henway, the senior security consultant for cybersecurity from Asterix and former lecturer and researcher at Edith Cowan University, the short answer is yes, but perhaps in a way that's not as diabolical as it sounds. Which still sounds diabolical. I'm sorry.
If you have to say it, it's not as diabolical as it sounds. It's diabolical.
As you push in your horns.
It's like saying anyone who says trust me, don't trust him.
Don't trust him.
Yeah.
Or no. It's not going to be as bad as it sounds.
It's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Would I lie to you? Yes.
Would I lie to you?
Yeah.
For your smartphone to actually pay attention and record your conversation, or smart device of any kind, there needs to be a trigger, such as when you say, hey Siri or okay Google. In the absence of these triggers, any data you provide is only processed within your own phone. So that means, yes.
Sorry, I was going to ask when this was written.
I believe it was...
Just because with the speed in which technology advances,
recently.
Sometimes it does make a big difference.
Just a little over a year ago. Where was I? In the absence of these triggers, any data you provide is only processed within your own phone. This might not seem a cause for alarm, but any third-party applications you have on your phone, like Facebook, for example, still have access to this non-triggered data. And whether or not they use this data is really up to them.
See, one thing about that actually because we're if I understood correctly, it's you don't have to technically give them permission. The problem with that is, I'm not sure about you guys, but nowadays, whenever you get a new phone, Facebook is on it. Right out of the gate.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Generally,
You have no,
they've done that with
incredibly
several apps.
difficult to uninstall or anything like that.
Right, you can uninstall the updates, or you can disable the app.
Exactly, but no matter what, you
yeah.
still have technically agreed to it.
From time to time, snippets of audio go back to other apps like Facebook servers, but there's no official understanding what the triggers for that are. So there's the trigger for data collection that goes to the network, which is Hey Google, or Hey Siri, or whatever it is, Siri, okay Google. And then there are other triggers for these third-party apps to pick up that information and use it for themselves. But we don't know what those triggers are. So we can't protect ourselves against what is causing these other apps to maintain that or attain that information and then use it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the trigger is it hears you talking.
Yes. Yeah. The trigger is you exist.
The phone is on, therefore it is triggered.
It is triggering.
Explains Peter. So whether it's timing or location-based or usage of certain functions, apps are certainly pulling those microphone permissions and using those periodically. All the internals of the applications send this data in encrypted form, so it's very difficult to define the exact trigger. So Google's relatively open about their policies, right? So that's another concern, is that even if you're not activating your smart assistant, it's still collecting the information. And then even if it's just storing that information locally, your other applications have access to the information and they're sending it out.
Yeah.
Right.
So nothing you're really saying, you have no guarantee unless you just turn your phone off, that anything you're saying around your device is truly private.
Right. Yeah.
However, you can make great pranks and talk about very inappropriate things near your friend's phone.
Yeah. Speedos.
Banana hammock.
Okay. All right. So this, what are your guys' thoughts on this? I know you just don't like it, period. Right.
I mean, generally speaking, yes. I for the longest time, I was very much against home assistants, smartphones. I didn't have Facebook for the longest time. Like, I was very much against giving out all this information. Now, I mean, I still had Amazon.com account. And I still had all this other stuff. Because as it boils down to, it's a matter of convenience, and it is very convenient.
It is. Yeah. Especially when more and more people use those services.
Yeah,
if you feel like you need it to catch up with what everybody else is doing, especially when you're running a business.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, especially then. I mean, these days I have a smartphone. I did eventually just cave in, and it is super convenient.
It is,
and now I use it all the time. Yeah. I do have a home assistant or whatever the hell they call those things. Although I didn't choose that one. I mean, I have Facebook now. It's. Yeah. I mean, I'm not generally a fan, but I mean, it is just kind of the way the world is now, and I'm not going to go live in the mountains.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? But I try to limit what I attach like my email to and things like that.
Right.
Just kind of my own thing. Like, everyone's like, oh, well, give us an email so we can send you updates on yada, yada, yada. No, not going to do that. If it's if I'm buying something online, I'll generally try to log in as a guest instead of making an account. So
I hate making
checking. Yeah, like, I mean, that's just how I am. So.
Yeah, I actively avoid. There are many things that I will download, and the second I open it, if it says we need access to your microphone,
nope,
deny, close, uninstall.
Yeah,
instantly on a lot of things like that. I do not have Home Assistant.
Yep.
I turn off any, like, my phone does not have the OK Google. I turned that on the second I open my phone. I don't like those kind of things. That, for me personally, I am not a fan of the listening or anything like that. Honestly, sometimes I will even actually actively unplug my microphone from my computer, or even sometimes I'll just get paranoid and I'll unplug my webcam. Because that's another one, is a lot of people will be like, they'll access them and stuff like that. I remember there being a meme about the FBI being upset when the camera, some company was like, here's a new phone, the camera flips up when it's active. And the meme was, the FBI was like, well, how are we watch them without them knowing now?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I actively avoid all of that kind of stuff. Like, only if it is 100% required for work.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Right. Like, having to get an account to do X, Y, or Z. If it's not a 100% required, I always avoid the voice recognition stuff.
Right.
I'm generally the same way, yeah.
I should be the same way. And I'm not. Like, oh, robot will talk to me. That's nice.
See, I really don't understand. I'm like, when you see that stuff, when you see like, oh, the voice activated home assistant that, can turn on all your lights and accesses all your stuff. I'm like, you people never watch Terminator? I don't understand.
Right.
No.
I think
self-driving cars.
Right.
Like, what?
I think one of my biggest problems in terms of privacy with like this kind of stuff is actually my inability to fully control. For example, you do have like a Google Home and stuff like that.
I do.
You have agreed to those terms.
I have.
I never did. But it can still hear, register,
sure,
and technically has full permission, and it becomes a situation of, well, at what point do I have control of my privacy versus, well, you agreed, therefore anyone in the vicinity, because it becomes a situation of,
if I'm over at your house and I'm talking about something.
Right. And if you perhaps did not tell me you had a Google Home, would that fall under the law of eavesdropping, recording without
Right.
someone's consent.
I mean, and that's actually a good point, and it might. I mean, you also run the risk of like, okay, so your phone is off, but you're at a coffee shop. Everybody else's phones are on.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so
they show
therefore
that in like TV shows and movies now,
Right.
where it's like, well, no, he ditched his phone, but luckily he's in a place where everybody else has
everybody else
their
has
phone.
a phone. Yeah. So they address that in the second Batman movie with the Joker.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, the Dark Knight.
Yeah, where he basically turned every phone into a radar device.
Yeah, and there was a huge objection because that was right on the cusp of this issue.
Yeah.
And so I think it was Alfred was basically saying like, this is wrong. You shouldn't. Be
No,
doing
it was
this.
Lucius Fox.
Oh, it was Lucius Fox.
He was
Okay,
like, one man
yeah.
shouldn't have this
That's
much
right.
power.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yet,
and I think if I
where
remember
are we right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was.
We've accepted it.
Yeah.
You know, we watching the movie, we're like, yeah, no, he's right. Nobody should have that kind of power. Nobody should be able to kind of
Actually, I
eavesdrop
was in
and
the
monitor.
theater going, that would make Batman's job so much simpler. Yeah,
It would.
totally. I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I get it.
Right. I mean, in a way, it works. I mean, bats do use sonar.
Right. I mean, it just makes sense.
This creepy eccentric billionaire sitting in a cave in a bat suit,
Yeah, right.
monitoring us for our safety,
Yeah.
so he can find a clown.
It makes perfect
What?
sense. I don't see the problem. So we can find a clown.
I don't understand. I don't like this
my
city.
God.
I would
if you
leave
really
Gotham.
if you want to bring it down to like it's bare bones, yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But
But throw DC on the front.
Yeah,
and then
but
you're
there's-
like, this is great.
This is amazing. So,
we can find a clown.
all right.
But one thing I do want to say about
Yes.
the Orwellian society and the
Yes.
Big Brother is I heard...
Hold on, really
Yep.
hold on to that, because those are connected. They may not seem connected, they are.
Mm-hmm.
So why monitor everything? Why monitor literally everything people are
Yep.
saying, everything they're doing, every email? Control. It is
Mm-hmm.
about control. It's about influence. It's buy our stuff. It's gathering information on people so you can influence their behavior inside and out.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, actually, I saw a conspiracy that one of the reasons why the UK show Big Brother was made was so that it would start making people go, oh, when people mention Big Brother, oh, they're talking about the reality show.
I see.
Not
Okay,
the
yeah, yeah.
concept
Not
of the
yeah.
government
Big Brother.
controlling or anything like that.
Right.
Yep.
But
Yep.
kind of like similar to the whole Frozen being instead of Walt Disney's Frozen,
Yeah.
the movie Frozen.
Exactly. And it's funny because London is one of the most surveillanced cities in the world. Their CCTV system is the most elaborate, and it is everywhere. I mean, you
controlled by
cannot
Batman.
go controlled by Batman.
Yeah.
Looking for a clown, British clown. It's different. Yeah, nice. So a lot of countries are going that way, where they're putting surveillance cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
Their devices listening everywhere. Eventually we'll have self-driving cars that are probably monitoring our conversations because we're activating those with our voice.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
I mean,
and
there's that. I mean, even now, like
Yeah.
they can keep track of where you're going if you're using your GPS or you have your GPS
Exactly.
activated on your phone.
I think in some cases you can even have your phone off and
Oh,
it
really?
can still track your device.
I think it's the Find My Phone tracker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Tile.
And I only
The
know
little
that
Tiles
because-
can do that too.
They always
Yeah.
do that in Brooklyn Nine-Nine where they're like, well, I lost him at the water park, so we turned on Find My Friend.
Find my friend.
Yeah, and then like later on, they're like getting like a hostage situation. And they're like, well, I found it because we left it on since that time.
Yeah. So there's that threat of surveillance and control. It's with devices and with this, things like that. Now, flip it around. It's not just the government. It's not just corporations, which we kind of talked about last week. This kind of surveillance, this kind of control is also, a lot of the blame falls on us. And it's not just us agreeing to terms and conditions like we talked about last week. It's not just us agreeing to conveniences and devices. Now, when we do that to ourselves, what we're talking about is, government, Facebook, Google, whatever, whoever, you can have my personal information. You can listen to me. But we're also getting to a point where we are controlling thoughts and behaviors and emotions even for each other based on social media. So one example, I know it's just a sci-fi show, but that sci-fi implies or informs culture in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
But the upvote, downvote episode of The Orville,
Yes.
where it wasn't necessarily the government doing anything. It
No,
was
it was
the
just public opinion.
It was just public opinion that was making or breaking people's lives.
Yeah.
And it was because they had immediate access to the ability to upvote or downvote somebody. And I would argue that that's kind of where we're at. We don't need the government to do this. We don't need the government to destroy lives because somebody said something off color.
Right.
We're doing
We
that.
do it ourselves.
We are
Yeah.
doing it
Well, in
ourselves.
terms of the privacy thing, we do that ourselves too. How many people post what they had for lunch, where they went today? Like my mother did that all the time on Facebook.
I
She
know.
would
Oh,
literally
don't do
check
it.
in everywhere she went.
Yeah, my dad does that.
And I told her, I was like, you're basically
Why?
asking people to rob you.
Yes. They're
'Cause
learning your habits.
If they learn
Yeah,
your habits, and if you check in wherever, they're
They're not
know-
home.
Yeah.
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 It's
like,
just
I'm
like-
checked in here, and here's my whole family. Nobody's at the
Right.
house.
I mean, people
You
talk
know?
about privacy, but then it's like, here's what I ate every meal today. This is what I did,
Yeah.
between those meals. It's like people Instagram and,
Right.
and,
And
they get
tweet
5 likes.
everything.
Yep.
But it's
And they
like,
get
it's
5.
insane. Because then people are like, well, everybody's listening in. You're broadcasting what you're
Yeah.
doing to the world half the time.
Your
Or a
schedule.
lot of
You're
people are, not
broadcasting your
everybody.
schedule. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, I just made my new pin for my front door lock. It's
Yeah.
I like the people who they take a picture of got a new credit card.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you
Oh,
see the
somebody
immediate
Wait,
one
people,
after.
yeah.
people do that?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's,
yeah. What?
It's been people have
People
done it, and then
are-
people snag it. Or like, I just got this gift
Oh.
card, and they show the back.
Right.
I've
I've seen some as well where the people are just idiots where they'll post a picture of the front. So that's cool. So cool. What does the back of your card look like?
yeah.
And they're like, people are dumb.
There's some dumb people out there.
Yeah. We actually had a gift card given to us. By the time we got it in the mail, it was empty. Somebody had stolen the information from the gift card, probably at the store that this person bought it from.
yeah.
Because they had a transaction history.
Yeah.
The card was loaded, and then we had to call support and say this thing's empty.
Yeah.
So the information had been stolen and the card was used. And I think they told us so you didn't buy. It was something like TVs or something. We're like, we most certainly did not in Southern California buy
Yeah.
2 televisions. We really want our money.
Right.
So I would argue that if you haven't had a chance to watch that episode of The Orville, while it's a comedy, yes, and it's Seth MacFarlane, whatever, still a smart guy, and it is a fantastic episode that really kind of sheds a light on what we're doing to each other.
Yes.
It's not the government, and it's not these companies, it's not Facebook, it's not Google.
Yeah.
We are destroying each other's lives because we can't simply accept the fact that there are people out there that don't think the same way we do, or because somebody had a bad day.
That and letting very
know-
specific things that should not matter control your opinion. 'Cause,
Yes.
in that
Yes,
episode,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like,
He
show
looked-
a picture of them fat as a kid. People love that.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Or when she
that shouldn't affect the fact that whether or not they
Right.
did this crime or not. And
Exactly. And so when the girl downvoted the guy, it was because she didn't like his eyes or something.
Yeah.
It's I don't like his eyes. I don't trust him. And but
what I do.
what they're giving voice to is things that actually control us subconsciously.
Yes.
So a couple of examples are people with beards are generally considered slightly rebellious. It's true. People are less inclined to trust a man whose ears are covered by their own hair.
Interesting.
Less inclined. It's not like I'll never trust somebody who has long
Yeah.
hair, but professionally, people are less inclined to
Like,
trust
damn,
somebody.
Yeah, because you
Pretty
tend to
much.
look,
Exactly.
Yeah, you look
That's
at them
exactly
and you go,
right. Yeah.
you're very unkempt.
Yeah,
Therefore,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not as
They're-
trusting of you because
yes.
you don't present yourself
Yes.
in a way that makes me feel comfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there are these subconscious biases
Yeah.
that pretty much control us.
It's just like tattoos and piercings. A lot of
Yeah.
people will go, oh, if you've got a ton of piercings on your face, you're less reliable. Or if you've got a ton of tattoos, you're more dangerous. Stuff like that where
Which
these
is
things
the tattoo
do-
thing is becoming less prevalent.
Yeah, 'cause
Especially
it's
now.
becoming
Because back in the
Yeah.
day, it was who had tattoos? It was military,
Criminals.
Bikers.
Yep.
That was
Samoans.
sure.
half of them are
Because-
just hearts with mom on it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those are the nice tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you were conservative, you got a tattoo right here.
Yeah.
and it
It
was
was always
that
right
big.
here.
Yeah.
And it was not bad. It was I love my mom.
My mom has a tattoo that just says "son."
Nice.
Yeah.
I've noticed
She'll never
that-
tell you which one she means.
There's 3 of us. So.
Son. No, I've noticed actually a lot
Yeah.
just side tangent.
Yeah.
How it used to be right here was the common one.
Yes.
I've noticed here is right nowadays. That is the exact location I see a lot of people getting it, because every time I see a picture of a tattoo, there it is. And I've seen like 5 pictures within the past.
Yeah.
So what else is on this list?
Do any of you have stories about your devices listening to
Yes.
you? And
Yes,
and how does that? How would you say that story or your experience with devices connect to this idea of control?
Well, mine was one was I was talking to someone about in my apartment. We were talking about going to the dentist. And I got an ad that was like, "Hey, dentistry in your area," and it was like on one of those websites where the ads rarely actually matter. And that was actually the key thing that made me go, "All right, I'm unplugging my mics and stuff when I'm not using this," because it's one thing to have like your phone listen to you when you're in public, because you're more censored in public.
Sure.
You're less likely to say certain things, whereas at home you may get really angry and like start having like, because we all do it, where you have an argument with someone when you're by yourself just to kind of like get it out of your system.
You're like, Gary, tea is better than coffee.
But like essentially what I'm saying is you're less censored at home.
I'm like, hey Google, where could I cut someone to like not kill them immediately?
Well, let's say when you talk to your wife, right? But like when you talk to your wife, you're more likely to be a lot free, or like a lot more free with what you're saying, as opposed to in public at a coffee shop. You're not going to be like, "Man, I've got a big hemorrhoid problem, honey."
Some people do.
The creams, no.
Some people do.
I have run into some people who do not understand.
Some do, but
too much information.
And then they get mad at you. Like, are you listening to our conversation? Well, you're talking really loud.
Really
it's hard
loud.
not to.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have any experiences?
Not in terms of like them physically listening. I mean, everybody's had that. Like, I Googled something, and the next time I went to Amazon, it's popped up. You know, like, oh, did you want to buy such and such? I've had that happen all the time.
So the company that you bought that statue through,
yes,
the Viper, which is really cool, from Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
So you bought that on my laptop at the airport,
right?
And I could not remember the name of the website, and luckily. So I was on Instagram. Luckily, I was on Instagram, and an ad for that website came up. I was like, oh, thank you. Wait a minute. Why am I happy about this?
Yeah.
So. What'd you say?
Eagle Moss. That's the name
Eagle
of it.
Moss. Yeah. I thought you said Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
I thought he said that too.
He makes models.
Great.
And sells them.
But they're really big.
I would buy them.
And they're functional.
Yeah, they're very functional.
That would be awesome. So like an actual, like I was talking about something and then it came up.
Yeah.
It's probably happened. I just haven't noticed it, honestly. Yeah. Because half the time I don't remember what I say anyway. So.
Yeah. I think it's a matter.
Your phone, it'll remind you.
Right. I know, right? I honestly think that it's only a matter of time, and this seems outlandish, but having a device that tracks everything you do was outlandish 25 years ago.
Yes.
And people choosing it was even more outlandish. I think it's not too outlandish to think that in another 15, 20 years, maybe 5 years, Google will require the use of a digital home assistant in order to use their services.
Yeah.
I could see
like,
it.
We'll give you the free account and this free Google Home Mini.
Yep.
You have to have this
to
use our services.
Product.
I really do, and I said this last time, I really do think we're heading into the sci-fi future of mega corporations who realistically do control a lot of the things that go on in our world.
And people have accepted it as the new normal.
Yeah, it'll just keep happening. Maybe at some point something will happen where we'll finally turn away from it.
Like, this isn't good.
Yeah, but it's we're very steadily moving in that direction.
Right.
I really do think that's going to happen.
And I think our governments or big corporations aren't too worried about controlling our thoughts and our behavior to match to with social norms, because we're going to do that to ourselves.
Yeah.
We're going to do that to each other because we all have access to our very public information.
Yeah.
We all have access to our very public profiles and pictures and opinions. Sure. And so you find one person who disagrees with you, and some people just absolutely lose their minds. It's like, wow, you mean somebody from a different country with a different lifestyle and a different outlook has a different opinion? What?
Bastards.
Or even worse, where it's like, oh, this person that's literally like the exact same as me says something that's slightly different from what I agree.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
yeah,
only
yeah,
the way
yeah.
I think is the proper way.
Well, I mean,
We've-
you
we've-
find that with friends. Well, you'll be like, you're all in like the same thing, video games, whatever. You know, we all like the same beer or something, and then people will get into huge arguments because they disagree on like one thing.
Yeah.
No, The Edge is better than Bono.
Very much nonsense.
Very much not.
I don't know what to tell you.
No, but I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's like, I mean, it's just how it works.
it's human nature.
Yeah.
It is human nature. But I do think that we can be a little easily triggered, more easily triggered than we need to the point where we think we have this it's like a false sense of security because we can attack somebody from a distance. And so we're not going to, none of us would attack our friends on quite that level, but some people will attack somebody on the other side of the country.
It's
because there's that internet gap.
You've got the wall of your keyboard.
You've got the wall of your keyboard
Yeah.
right in front of you. And so somebody who maybe even has the same opinions as your friends, that doesn't line up with you, you'll attack them because they're not right next to you. They can't see you. And so you'll start petitions or whatever to destroy this person's life because they went gluten-free. I don't know.
I'm still working on destroying your life about
I know.
that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I mean, that
yeah.
like, because stuff
You
like
tweet
that.
about it all the time.
Literally all the time.
Yeah.
Like there's the stuff with streamers. When people who watch a streamer and the streamer like either like starts playing a game they don't like or they simply don't like the streamer, we've run into the problem of the swatting situations where the viewers will find out where they live and call the local SWAT team on their house saying they've got stuff. And you like see it on like they'll be recording and you'll see like the SWAT team swarm the house.
Okay, there we go.
And it became a huge problem for a while too.
And we don't need to leave it up to the government. We're doing it to each other. We're doing it to each other, people. Because we've given each other access to, like, especially when your life is very public already.
Yes.
It's one thing if you live a fairly private life, you're like an accountant or something, and your device, the only things really listening to you or watching your devices. But when you what?
Just the way you said, the only thing's really listening to you, or all the technology in your house that's spying on you.
No, sorry, that did sound pretty terrible. That sounded pretty terrible. Yeah. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, like, you're not a streamer, you're not a YouTuber.
Yeah, you're just like a normal person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because YouTubers and streamers aren't normal people.
Exactly.
I'm very offended.
Thank you.
Actually, that brings up a point of the because I think we've actually had this discussion before in the past of celebrities, where for some reason the public starts going, no, we look at you at this way, therefore you have to act in this way.
Oh, sure.
Like, you no longer have a right to your privacy because you are a role model. And it's like,
why?
No, I didn't agree to it. Like,
no.
I was movies. What
I'm-
does that have to do with my personal life?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah.
I have always resented, at least when I grew old enough to have my own opinions, which was like last year.
Sure.
I've resented that attitude that people have that celebrities are like public property.
Yeah.
Because they're not.
They're not. They're people.
Not. They're just people. Like, leave them alone. They
They're
have a
not
job.
gods.
Yeah, they have a job that puts them in front of a camera and they perform. And yes, that scene or whatever it is witnessed by millions of people around the world.
Right.
But that doesn't make them public property. Like,
Yeah.
they're still a human being who just happened to choose that particular job.
Yeah.
That put them in front of a camera. It's absurd. But yeah, so things are listening to us. Devices are listening to us. And after this episode, I think I'm going to go unplug every microphone and every camera. I'm actually just going to go tear down the set.
In fact, the stream is going to go down right now.
The stream is going to go down right now. But it does concern me because, especially if you have children,
Right.
they're collecting information on your children. Like, what games are they playing on your phone? And suddenly I feel really bad.
But not only what game, actually, no,
So
that's
we all
another
have
one.
children,
Is
so I'm
yeah.
they're influencing children.
They are, absolutely.
Because it's not, maybe not what games they have on their phone, but what game popped up in the store when they opened it that
exactly.
would make them want to lean towards that.
Absolutely.
And then the ads in that game that go to these other ones.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Suddenly you have children like asking for Wall-E pajamas
Right.
because they saw an ad and you're like,
Or even or when it's like, well, I want Grand Theft Auto stuff. That's cool. I got an app game. I was stealing cars. Therefore, that's cool, right?
Right.
oh, I must have
Like-
already told you about that conversation with Eleanor. It's a joke.
Oh,
playing Grand Theft
for a
Auto.
second, I was like, wait a second. I think I missed a big story.
He's like, Daddy, I beat the prostitute.
Oh man, no, trust me, guys, she does not play games like that. Although sometimes, like, I'll hear her like on the tablet, and I hear something like, you know, I'm like, what are you playing? And I go over there, and it's totally innocent. It just sounds weird.
Yeah. It's one of those
Out of
things.
context.
It sounds totally out of context. Yeah.
But yeah, and like I said, in terms of like the actual, I really do think we're heading very much in that direction.
We
And,
are.
Yeah.
If not already there.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely like on the cusp.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
yeah.
I can imagine somebody from, you know, a long time ago traveling to the future, somebody who had like world domination aspirations.
Sure.
You know, I want to control the thoughts and the behaviors of people. I want them to feel like their jobs are always on the line. And they come into the future like, oh, you just did it to each other.
Damn it.
Come on.
Pretty sure that's from Austin Powers.
Is it?
Dr. Evil comes from the past, goes to the future, or like was frozen, wakes up, and they're like going through different plans that they can do.
Oh,
and
the
he's like,
ozone layer.
and he's
Yeah,
like,
it's-
let's create
control.
this thing and slowly decrease the layer around the planet so that people start getting cancer. That happened a couple. Son of a. Well, let's create a corporation that rules the world. And nope, that's already happened with this thing.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it is that scene from Austin Powers. Was it the first one?
It was.
I
It was the first one.
on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
plane.
Nope, we already did that. Yeah, we did that to ourselves as well. Let's pollute our oceans. No, we did that too. We did that too. Let's create mass hysteria and panic. We pretty much did that too. What about
change the
riots?
climate.
Yeah.
The icebergs will melt and then they will.
Yeah.
Nope, that still currently happens.
We're ruining the world ourselves. And
And
basically,
blaming it on
and we
others.
are removing our own freedoms. That I firmly believe in that. Now, it doesn't look like 1984 because that is ultimately
It's
fiction.
2019.
It's 2019. But like basically what I'm saying is like it doesn't look like a movie. It's much more sinister than we could have ever anticipated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I think
because it's so hidden. And,
it's so hidden.
Yeah.
It's so subtle, and we've again accepted it as the new normal. I think what's the phrase? Reality is stranger than fiction. You can imagine this dystopian future, and then the actual dystopian future won't necessarily look like that.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it'll look very different and almost comfortable. So, yeah. Any closing thoughts on surveillance and control? That should be the name of the episode. Surveillance and control.
Send me that. I'll forget.
All this
next
because
time
you
I
asked.
put this up.
Yeah, and all this because you asked me, like, what if we did an episode on our devices
Yes.
listening to us? Yeah.
I texted it to. I can't even remember what I was doing. Something popped up on my phone that made me think of that
really?
to immediately
sure.
text you. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it was at New York Comic Con. Something popped up, and I was like, "This would be a great topic, Gary."
What if you live with a woman named Alexa and you have an Amazon Echo? How confusing and frustrating is that? Like, Alexa, no, not you.
Now, other Alexa.
No, wait, which one am I talking to?
I'm confused.
I'm so confused.
Which one can tell me the weather?
The other Alexa's like, actually, let me look that up for you. You sound just like her.
Oh my
You sound
God.
just like her. What is happening? Okay.
That got weird.
That did get very
I
weird.
wonder if you can change the name in that situation.
I don't know.
Because I mean, then you've got to run into a situation with the name
Maybe
Alexa.
somebody's named Alexa.
Right.
That's actually the only time that someone's truly against the brand of Amazon.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, I'm the only Alexa in this household.
I've even taken on her speech patterns.
Sounds so weird because I did name my son Google.
Google. Hey, Google.
Hey Google. Yeah, Dad. Not you, Google.
Next time we'll.
no, your sister Cortana.
Damn it.
I think next
My
time we
wife
should.
Alexa.
I'm gonna have 3 kids:
Excuse me.
Cortana, Alexa, and Google.
Oh, Siri's the dog.
Siri's the
burn. Okay,
Anyway.
so I think next time we should talk about kind of an updated version of the AI takeover
Yes.
or robots taking over.
That'd be
Because
cool.
I've seen some very scary things recently.
Sure.
And heard some very scary things, like again Google creating an artificial voice that can mimic real human speech patterns.
Which is
Very creepy.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, and they're debating whether or not it should be illegal
Yep.
as to whether or not the AI should tell you that it's an AI before it starts talking to you, because you genuinely cannot tell the difference
Yeah.
between a person and
Right.
this AI, because they mumble and they they go,
They have normal speech patterns.
normal
Yeah,
speech
like a normal
patterns.
person, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so, yeah, we should talk about that.
I like
Boston Dynamics. I'm looking at you.
it. God, those are
They're
some
creepy.
crazy.
Watch this
robots.
robot do a backflip and then run 300 miles an hour. No, not quite there, but give it time.
Yeah, it's only 250. Jeez,
Yeah.
goddamn.
Yeah, I know.
Jesus, Gary, it's not
It's
a
only
cheetah.
250. It's not a cheetah. All right, thank you. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Do you have any creepy stories about devices listening to you? Honestly, has your life been affected by social media in a negative way? Has anybody tried to ruin you? So that's a big question. So let us know what you think in the comment section below. And thank you, as always, for watching. This is...
I'm Glorb Andy.
There we go.
Find me at I am the Andy on Instagram.
I'm Glorb Gary. You can find me on YouTube at Film Circuit, Twitter at Film Circuit, and Northward Films on Instagram.
And I am Glorp Dan, and you can find me at Dan T Producer on Twitter and Instagram, and Dan T Streamer on Twitch.
All right.
Glorp,
Thank you for
everybody.
watching. Glorp, everybody.
Glorp, everybody.
And we haven't said it in so long.
I love the Illuminati.
Who are the good guys now?
It's true.
Yeah.